and welcome. This is Eman Tasleem and you're watching All of Your Business. Every week we bring the latest update from the world of economy, global affairs and some important news, and we tell you how these developments are important for Pakistan and for you. So for this episode, let's proceed further with the questions with Mr. Mehtab Haider. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
So our today's conversation is going to revolve around the upcoming budget. So my first question is that why is the budget being delayed?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much for having me. Actually, the National Economic Council was scheduled to meet on June 3, means tomorrow. But Government of Pakistan has issued an official notification whereby it was stated that the NEC, which was scheduled to meet on June 3, has been postponed. It means that now the economic survey as well as the announcement of the upcoming budget, which was scheduled to be announced on June 5, has also been delayed. The new date has not yet been confirmed, but keeping in view the some political happenings in this country, as we know that in Gilgit-Baltistan, there are scheduled elections, as well as some consultations are also continuing with the international monetary funds. So keeping in view these two developments, the government has preferred to delay the budget. The new date has not yet been confirmed, but it is being considered that now the budget will either be unveiled on June 8 or June 10. Some people are saying June 12, but I think June 8 or June 12 will be the preferable dates for announcement of the upcoming budget.
All right. So should the upcoming budget focus more on the economic growth or the tax collection? What do you think?
Actually, under the IMF program, Pakistan has stabilized its economy. And in the outgoing financial year, we have achieved a provisional GDP growth of 3.7%. And for the upcoming budget, the Annual Plan Coordination Committee, which met yesterday under the chairmanship of Minister for Planning, has invested GDP growth at the rate of 4%.
Okay.
So on one side, we are moving towards higher trajectory of growth, but on the other side, we are under the IMF program, and for the next fiscal years, the FBR's tax collection target has been invested to the 15.267 trillion. So when there will be increased economic activity, it will result into increased tax collection. The problem lies when there is no economic activity and we are trying to fetch maximum taxes or maximizing the tax efforts. So it is not a good omen for any country if there is a sluggish economic activities and we are fetching and maximizing the tax efforts. So if the economy is growing, it will result or yielding into the higher revenues. So it's a consequential effect, and it is hoped that with the increased economic activities, the more revenues will be generated.
Okay, so what do you think? What key measures should the upcoming budget include to boost the export or attract that investment, we can say?
Yes, actually, I think it is the major question because we have seen that investment to GDP ratio has remained stagnant in last few years period, and now there is a need to give boost to the investment, both local as well as the foreign direct investment, and it requires that the cost of doing business must be reduced. So in order to fetch the investment both from the local as well as from the foreign investors. So the next budget must be seen that how much the tax burden and overall cost is going to be reduced in the upcoming budget. And I can see that although we are under the Pakistan is under the IMF program,
Yeah.
and it is very hard to give relief to every sectors of the economy, but the government is trying and convincing the IMF to reduce the rate of the super tax, because
Yeah.
at certain stage and certain individuals who fall into the higher income brackets as well as certain sectors, they are paying and higher super tax. So one of the proposal is to gradually reduce the tax rates of the super tax. Although there is a demand of the corporate sector to reduce the corporate income tax rates,
Yes.
and salaried class is also hoping some kind of tweaking with their tax slabs. But I think overall, super tax is expected to be reduced, and salaried class may see some relief. Uh, Property sector is also vying for reduction in its transactional taxes under the 236C and K. 236C and K is related to the selling and purchasing tax related to the withholding taxes. So these are the incentives which are expected in the upcoming budget. But uh, IMF also saying and focusing that if Pakistan provides relief, from where they are going to compensate the tax revenues efforts.
Yeah.
So the government is trying to act in a balanced manner.
So as you just talk about the IMF, so my question is basically linked with the previous question I asked, that can the government provide tax relief to businesses while meeting its IMF commitments?
Actually, this is the hardest question, because under the IMF program, Pakistan is committed to generate 2% of GDP surplus. It means that after excluding the debt servicing, we will have to generate around 3 trillion rupees surplus, both by the federal as well as the provincial governments. So it is very hard to do it under the existing circumstances. But government of Pakistan is pursuing with the IMF that, on account of tax burden, we have reached to the saturation point. So there is a need to reduce the tax burden, reduce the tax rates, because it will help to broaden the tax base, and it will help to generate more taxes, keeping in view the Laffer curve. Laffer curve means that when you will reduce the tax rates, your actual collection will increase, because when you raise the tax rates, it incentivizes those sectors to remain outside the tax net. It actually helps to evade the taxes. So when you reduce the tax rates, it helps those who want to come into the tax net and contribute into the national kitty. So keeping in view this concept of Laffer curve, it is hoped that the tax rates are going to be reduced, but it's very hard under the IMF program, because we will have to convince the IMF for all these incentives. Otherwise, it is not going to happen.
Okay. So what do you think, that should the tax exemptions for industries in the formal tribal areas continue, or is it time to phase them out?
Actually, we have given them some kind of incentives, because in the FATA and PATA, their GST rate and other taxes are being charged, especially the GST is charged at the reduced rates. It is the wish of the IMF to abolish this reduced rates, remove this reduced rates, and come up with the standard GST rate. So it is part of negotiations, and it is yet to see that what's the conclusion government is going to draw from the parleys with the IMF. There are some discussions that there might be some increase in the GST, but it shouldn't be raised up to the standard rate of 18%. So there might be some gradual movement towards the standard rate. It will take few or 3 years period, but it is yet to see how we are going to convince the IMF.
Okay. So, what do you think? What steps can be taken to attract the foreign investment, or you can say improve the foreign investor confidence in Pakistan?
Actually, without reducing the cost of doing business in Pakistan, it is very hard to attract both the local as well as the foreign investors. So there is a need to reduce the tax burden on the formal sector,
Yeah.
because at the moment we have seen that because of the higher tax rates, certain sectors are moving towards producing those products which are outside the tax net, and they are selling in the markets as well, because it incentivizes to those who prefer to remain outside the tax net. So there is a need to incentivize the formal sector who are under the tax net, because they are contributing into the national kitty. So if one question which is really really relevant in case of Pakistan, that how we are going to unveil a budget which attracts to boost investment and promote formal economy and formal sector to document, so that they must contribute maximum into the national kitty. Because if we are going to increase the burden of the formal sector,
Yeah.
the tax evasion will not be reduced, rather it will be increased in Pakistan.
Okay. So there is a need for balance in both sides.
I think there is a need to incentivize those who are already in the tax net,
Okay.
so that the formal sector should be incentivized, rather than they consider them that they are penalized at the cost of those who are not in the tax net.
Okay. So lastly, what are the biggest challenges that you think that Pakistan's economy is facing right now, and how should the new budget address them?
Actually, keeping in view the conflict in the region, we have seen that the fuel prices has gone up, which resulted into hiking the overall CPI based inflation and the price hike. And we have seen that in May, the CPI based inflation was hovering around 11.7%. And for the next budget, the government has invested a CPI based inflation target of 8.2%. And it is the challenge to keep inflation within the single digit, because there are some fears and apprehensions that at least in the first quarter the prices will remain elevated, and the overall CPI based inflation may remain into the double digit. So that is the most pressing challenge being faced by the Pakistan's economy.
Okay, so that's where we wrap up. Thanks for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Mehtab, for
You're welcome.
joining us. And that's it for today's episode. If you have missed any part of the discussion, don't worry, because we are going to come back with some more important topics. So yeah, see you next time.